I'm looking at some of these books and like, my brain is a sieve. Hey guys, what's up? It's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, and if you've come back, thank you so much. Today, you guys, we're doing a video that I've kind of wanted to do for a while. I just didn't know what kind of ranking video I wanted to do, but today, you guys, has literally just been the most stressful day of my life. So I woke up this morning and my computer would not turn on. My laptop was gone. She had passed away. I literally tried everything. I don't know what it is. Me and technology this month, we are not mixing. First my Kindle, now the computer, and literally I'm dead. Why did I do that? I literally have mascara on my face. Anyways, I was devastated because basically my computer completely died and I have literally a whole month's worth of footage on there because I'm doing a reading vlog. Well, I was doing a reading vlog in January, reading all new releases, like anticipated releases, and literally all of my reading vlog footage, except for my Onyx Storm stuff that was still on my SD card, is probably gone. Like, literally pray for me right now. I have to go and take my old computer to a data extractor when everything opens up because it is Saturday at the moment. So I am literally just the most stressed that I've probably ever been in my entire life. But anyway, you guys, I did end up going to the store today and getting a brand new laptop, which if I can end up getting my old one fixed, I will be returning this one. But for now, I really need it, especially for this video. Today, you guys, we are doing a tier ranking video and we are going to be tier ranking every single book that I've ever given 5 stars. So all of my 5-star reads. I've seen a few people sort of do this now, like we said, with different versions of ranking. I didn't know if I wanted to do, you know, like all the books I read last year or whatever, but I thought if I tried my 5-star reads, I think that could kind of be fun. So I have gone ahead and made a little, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tiers. And I believe there's like 60 books. In my entire like reading journey, like through life, I've given 60 something books 5 stars, which is kind of good. I don't know. You guys know the drill. Without further ado, let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and let's get right on into the video. That's better. It was way too bright. Anyways, so as I was saying, you guys, I have 6 different tiers there. Now, I thought it would be kind of fun, as I was saying, to do the 5-star reads because it's going to be really difficult to sort of split them up because obviously when I give a book 5 stars, like I feel like we need more, like we need a 6-star mark because some books I'll give 5 stars because they were really good, but some books are like going to be with me forever. So starting at the top is Taking It Into the Afterlife. So like these are the 5-star reads that will forever be 5 stars. Like literally, like I said, like they are coming with me. I'm not passing into the next life without it with me on my person, you know what I mean? Like they are my favorite books ever. The one down from that is Injected Into My Veins, which means literally I'm obsessed. Like I love this book so much. The middle rank there is I Cried because I definitely have a tendency, especially last year, maybe year before, I used to just give books 5 stars because I cried. Like not just like shed a tear. If I bawled my eyes out at a book, I immediately am like, that's a 5-star book. But like upon reflection, especially this year, I need to make sure that the entire book's 5 stars, not just because I cried. The next one down from that is Yeah, She Holds Up, which means like, yeah, I still stand by the fact that this is still 5 stars. Like nothing too special, but I'm still happy giving it a 5-star. You know what I mean? Down from there, we have, I don't know who this man is. And if you guys know Kiki Palmer, you know my girl, Kiki Palmer. Okay, you'll get that reference. It means that if I look at this book cover and there's like no thoughts, head empty, it's going in there because especially like some of the older ones I'm looking at on here, I'm going, I don't know who this man is. Like I could not tell you one single thing about this book, but apparently I gave it 5 stars. And then the last one is Someone Do a Welfare Check, which means I was not in my right mind. Like something was wrong. Something was wrong when I gave this book 5 stars. Like do a welfare check. Something was wrong. All right, I think I need my glasses. I think I need my glasses for this. So the first book that I have is The Right Mark. Oh my God. First book that I have is The Right Move by Liz Tomford. And I'm like, Injected Into My Veins or Taking It With Me Into the Afterlife. I think it's in Injecting It Into My Veins. I love that book so much. Out of the entire series, it definitely sits at like the 2nd spot. Oh, no. I think it's top spot. It's like, it's gonna be so difficult to like differentiate those 2 categories because I think the difference is like, could I live without that book? Like, even though I love it so much, like, could I live without that book? And I'm gonna say yes, which actually hurts my soul. Next, I have City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. And I'm like, yeah, she holds up. Love that book. That's like my favorite book. I think other than The City of Heavenly Fire, I loved that book so much. City of Glass is my favorite. I just feel like so much happened and it was just a strong book from beginning to end. So I'm like, yeah, she holds up. She's 5 stars. And I read that ages ago, like when I was a baby. All right, next. Catching Fire. So you guys, I love this book and I love this franchise so much. I think that Catching Fire is one of the best films of all time. Like, I think the way that they actually like adapted the book to the film, it's one of the greatest films of all time. And I think the book is amazing as well. Could I live without this book? For now, I'm gonna put it in, inject it into my veins. I'm gonna leave it there for now, but I think it is gonna slip into the taking it into the afterlife. Like, the Hunger Games made up so much of like my childhood, like who I was as a child. Next is Fourth Wing, and this is straight away going, taking it into the afterlife. I don't know if it's just because we're in this like midst of, you know, this lovely period we're in with Onyx Storm and everything, but after having read the book and everything and being back in the world, like I just realized how much I love this series and love the world. Book number 1 in general is an actual solid 5-star incredible book from beginning to end. Because the reason this is a taking it into the afterlife book for me is because it was my first ever romantasy book, right? And I was immediately in. Like, I didn't struggle to get in. The world building was super easy to understand. I literally could not stop reading. I wanted to know what was going to happen next. I like literally flew through it. I cried so hard at this book. The romance is like on another level. I just love Fourth Wing is always going to be that book. Like, it's so good. I will, like I said, I'm taking it with me. It is my absolute like. Next we have another Cassandra Clare, and it is Clockwork Princess, and I'm gonna put this in I cried. I think it's because, like, if you guys have read that series, it's a prequel in the same universe from the Mortal Instruments series. It is like a trilogy, and it's set in like, I want to say the 1700s or the 1800s. The last book is great, and I think it was like, I would love to reread them now because I did read them so long ago that I think if I were to go and reread it, maybe it wouldn't be a 5-star. However, I gave it 5 stars because the ending of the book makes it 5 stars. Like, the ending of the book absolutely destroyed me and I cried. And there's a few of those in here. Next we have The Song of Achilles. And funnily enough, this is going as well into I cried because this Song of Achilles took me like so long to read. I think it took me like a period of about 6 to 7 months, and then I just was almost gonna DNF the book because it was just like really slow, really boring. We sort of spend like 30 years with the same characters, like, and it's a lot and it's whatever, and I was so bored, and something inside of me was like, I should just finish the book just to see. I was like, I'll just finish it, and I cried. If I can find my video, because I did make a video on my TikTok ages ago of me like just after I finished the book, and I was a mess. Like, I was crying so hard, and I was like, yeah, this book's 5 stars, because again, it's another one where when you get to the ending, you understand why we spent like 30 years with these characters, and that is what I assumed made it 5 stars. Is the book as a whole 5 stars? I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. Next is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and I'm gonna inject this into my veins. It's another one that like, it made my childhood. I still think that that story is magnificent, and it's just done so beautifully. It's done to ease a little bit of the tension with comedy, and it's just like at its heart the most beautiful love story, whilst it's also obviously talking about some very serious topics. It's like, oh, I want to watch that movie so bad. I'm gonna cry. Next. We have Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. Oh, I love this book so much. Love this book. I'm gonna put it in, yeah, She Holds Up. Because that is a perfect book. It's also just like so poetic. If you haven't read Aristotle and Dante, please do. It's like such a beautiful coming of age story as well. But the way that it's written, like the way that this author wrote the book, I felt like I was reading poetry. Like, it's so stunning. So yeah, I think that was actually one of the first books that got me back into reading in 2021 or 22. Like, it was the first time that I actually enjoyed reading again. And that's why it will always hold a special spot in my heart. Next we have, of course, A Court of Mist and Fury. That is going straight into the afterlife. Like, do I really have to explain? Like, I don't have to explain myself. I know I'm a clown. I've said it many times. I waited way too long to read this series. And you know what? Can you guys imagine? Do you remember when I was gonna DNF the series after the first one? Remember when I read the first one and I said, you guys lied to me? Like, I can't stand this. And then you were like, Belle, read book 2. I'm so glad that I listened. I'm so glad that I listened. Can you imagine if I didn't? Anyways, whatever. I don't have to explain. Because we're here, I'm gonna put A Court of Wings and Ruin injected into my veins because I do love that. I loved the book. I cried. There's like one part at the end that I just like was like, yeah, that's why I love this series so much. But it's not I'm taking it into the afterlife with me. Next we have An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. And I'm gonna put that in Yeah, She Holds Up. Yeah, She Holds Up. Because I love that book. I think like Benedict and Benedict's story, I just love his character. I definitely think that like Benedict in the books, and a lot of people have sort of said this online too. If you've read the books and you've watched the TV show, a lot of people have said that Benedict and Colin have swapped personalities in the TV show because in the book, I think Benedict is a little bit more stoic and like definitely ladies' man, which he is still in the show. But Colin in the books is like much more the joke star and the prank star. And I think like in the TV show, they've swapped that dynamic. So in Benedict's book, he's not as comedic as he is in the show. However, the actual story is still really interesting because it is like a Cinderella retelling. Ooh. Okay, this one is going to be really difficult. We have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I'm going to put this in I Cried because, I'm going to put it at the top of I Cried because, how do I explain this? This book is a 5-star book. There's no denying it. I know a lot of people have their opinions on it and I know it's very controversial, but when I read this book, it like really resonated with my life, my like family, and I just really like understood what was happening. Is that story 5 stars? I don't know. I read it a while ago. However, I think it is still fantastic. I think it is a piece of work that will save lives and I think it will spread awareness. And I've said that a lot. I've also said that about the movie because I literally witnessed it firsthand, seeing like a male sitting next to us in the cinema breaking down in the last scene. Like I just think that's so special. Then I have Nick and Charlie. This is so hard. I love this book. I have to take it into the afterlife. Out of all the Heartstopper material, I've got 2 more Heartstopper graphic novels in there, but the Nick and Charlie novella, like every time I sort of speak about it, I think it like solidifies that if you communicate and you are mature, you can have a healthy relationship from high school and communicate. And it doesn't matter that you started in high school. If you have your head switched on and you communicate, any relationship will succeed. You know what I mean? And like, that's what I love so much about Nick and Charlie is like after everything that they have been through, they're both each other's support systems. They communicate with each other and they're able to actually be realistic, like to see it in 2 people that are so young. I am so in love with them. Next we have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This was like a staple back in the day. Do you guys remember? Like this was a staple of like book talk in 2022 maybe, I want to say. And at the time I was like, I love this book. Bestie Bridie, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. Do I think this book was 5 stars at the time? Yes. When I look back and think about some of the things that happen in this book, they are 5-star worthy. However, there's some absolute cringe stuff that happens in this that if a man ever did that to me in real life, I would literally take out a restraining order. Somebody do a welfare check. I still, like now, when I tell you I read that book, I'll be like, yeah, I gave it 5 stars. If I read it now, do I still think it would be 5 stars? I just don't know. Oh my God, I love this book. Next up we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Another one that I'm gonna put in, I'll put it in I Cried. I'll put it in I Cried, closer to It Ends With Us. We're now getting so specific. Like we are literally like, we have to get so specific here because I did cry a lot at this book. Do I remember anything else except for like the key moments that made me sob? Not really. But you know, that is okay. It is more, I want to say this leans more general fiction with like a romance, heavy romance plot. It is more about like the choices we make in life. Like I could never imagine making the decision that this female main character has to make. Like it's absolutely insane. Next we have The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I have to put it in welfare check because at the time, again, I loved the ending. The ending was great, but you know, Mariana Zapata is like And like we said, guys, even if a book ends up on this low scale here, I'm not kicking it off the 5-star ranking list. Like, that's not what's happening. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me was like the slowest of slow burn books, and it was so awesome. It was like a marriage of convenience between a famous football player and his assistant, and it was so slow burn, delicious slow burn. But when I look back on that book, it was so slow. Like, I still really liked it, but it wasn't 5-star worthy. Ooh, next we have the Mind F series by S.T. Abbey, and I decided to like put the series as a whole because it is 5 small novellas. I did rate them all differently, but because really, like, when you put them together, they're about a 600 or 700 page book. I have to like include it as one, and I'm gonna put it in, inject it into my veins. I would love to do a reread of this series soon because it was just fantastic. I cried so much. Like, I related so deeply to Lana, the main character. I just think, like, I mean, I'm not a serial killer, but she's a baddie, and I feel like that, you know what I mean? And anyway, I forgot, I put Frost and Starlight in here. I'm putting it and injected into my veins. Now, I don't even care. I literally, every time I bring this book up, I feel like I have to defend it because for some reason, you guys don't like this book, and I like don't understand, because I feel like, and I always say, after the trauma of A Court of Wings and Ruin, like, we needed a little palate cleanser. We needed a breather, silly giddy Christmas time, you know, silly giddy Christmas time. And I loved it. And I never give novellas 5 stars. And here I am out here giving Frost and Starlight 5 stars. I don't know what else to tell you. I do not know what else to tell you. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong is going in. I don't know who this man is. Because I could tell you like the male main character's name. I don't know what else happened. I know like the general plot, but I don't know who this man is. However, funnily enough, I put The Bride Test and that holds up. That's a great book. And it's funny because it's the next book in the series, and everybody at the time loved The Kiss Quotient. No one's read the last 2 books in that trilogy, and they're both really good books. Like, I really enjoyed them, especially, like I said, Bride Test and The Heart Principle. I loved them. Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I don't think about this book on the daily, so I'm going to put it in. Yeah, it holds up. Like, I still think it was a 5-star read. Like, I still think it was awesome. The spice was there for a taboo book too. I just ate it up. Like, I love this book. I know like a lot of people don't vibe Penelope Douglas, especially like Credence and things like that, but their books are just, they're a good time. They're a good time, and I had a good time, you know? I had a good time. Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. I'm gonna say, yeah, she holds up as well, because that's a book that, like, I know a lot of people are a bit hit and miss with Tessa Bailey. They're not sure if they enjoy her writing or not. Fix Her Up was one of the first books that I read by her, and I loved it. I think it's like up there with It Happened One Summer and The Au Pair Affair and things like that. It's like this grumpy sunshine between baseball player and his like best friend's little sister. She's like a kids party entertainer, and I think they renovate a house together. I just loved it. I'm like, yeah, that was 5 stars. I enjoyed it. Now, Red, White and Royal Blue. Red, White and Royal Blue is going straight into taking it into the afterlife. That's my book. Like, if I have to live in a world where I cannot like go and look at that book, read that book, like, I can't live in a world where that book doesn't exist, which means when I leave this one, I'm not going unless it's with me. That is my book. That is my book. If you've read it, you get it, and if you haven't, well, this is your warning. This is your warning. This isn't even like a suggestion. This is your warning. Read this book. You know what I mean? It's just the best. Like, I have yet to read another book that actually like captures the essence and the feeling that I got from reading this book. Nothing has actually captured the essence of Red, White and Royal Blue in terms of like the romance is amazing. But I think the thing that makes this book stand out is like the actual friendship group and the things they get up to and they go and do. There's like a moment where they're literally like cruising down the highway in a stretch limo, all wearing silk robes, going to go do karaoke drunk off their heads. Like, it's like that sort of stuff. It's so fun. Okay, next we have Verity by Colleen Hoover, and I'm gonna go, yeah, she holds up. That was such a great book. I like still think about the ending now, because if you have read Verity, you'll know that there's sort of like 2 potential endings to that book, and it's almost like up to the reader how you interpret the ending of the book and like which one you believe more. And that's why I think it is really interesting. And I remember when I finished this book, I read it in like a day for starters. And I went downstairs and I told my mum the entire plot, and she literally told me to stop talking because she wanted to read it. She was like, stop, don't tell me anymore. I want to read it. Like, give me the book. So I think it's really good. I always say Colleen Hoover should stop writing romance and just write thrillers. Okay, Glow of the Everflame. is going straight into taking it into the afterlife. I love this book so much. I don't know where it sits yet in terms of the ranking, but I just read this the other day and I was like, yeah, this is like definitely in my top 5 books of all time. Like I love it so much. I think like, again, similar to what I was saying about Fourth Wing, I think like this book was engaging from beginning to end. It was almost 700 pages, I want to say. There was no moment where I was bored. It didn't stop for any second. It had the highs, the lows, you know, it had the comedy. The romance is crazy. Like when I think about like the male main character's confession of love and devotion in this book, like I was like on the floor, like I passed away. You know what I mean? Like, and if I have to go, yeah, if I can't have this book with me, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what sort of chaos I'm gonna cause. Next up, I have volumes 4 and 5 of Heartstopper, which I was sort of saying. Now, I love all of the volumes of Heartstopper, but out of all 5 that are currently published, 4 and 5 are my favorites. I'm going to put volume 4 injected into my veins, and volume 5 will be in I Cried. Because volume 4 is my favorite in the series so far. The character development is so touching and beautiful, and I just like, I cried a lot while reading it, but I think it like, that is the book where I went, yeah, this series is insane. It's so special. It's something that I'll always remember. And then volume 5 again was another one for big like character development, but I think seeing the growth in it, particularly Charlie in volume 5, and like just I remember crying, and I remember as this one was being updated, I just cried so much at the ending. And it's a 5-star. It's a 5-star, but dudes. I know exactly where this next one's going. Our Violet Ends by Chloe Gong. I don't know who this man is. I read both of those books. It's Our Violet Delights, Our Violet Ends, and I know that it was like a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in Shanghai. I know that the second book made me cry a little bit, but I don't know who this man is. I don't know why I gave it 5 stars. Was it worth 5 stars? I could not tell you, and for that I deeply apologize. Next we have You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. Another one that I cried. I do think that that is like a perfect book. It's really sad. It's young adult. I'm really excited to read more from Dustin Thau because there's another book by him out, and I believe he just announced another one which looks more similar to You've Reached Sam, but this like actually like tore my soul from my body. Like it was so devastating. I have to put this close to the top. I'm gonna put this like, actually I'm gonna put it above It Ends With Us. I'm gonna put it above because it was so devastating. If you haven't read that book yet, like please do. The premise is it's about this girl who didn't get the chance to say goodbye to her boyfriend before he passed away, and she keeps calling his voicemail, and one day he actually like answers the phone, and it's like that premise or concept again of like, what would you do if you got the chance to say goodbye to someone you weren't able to? And it's so heartbreaking. Like it's really sad. I want to reread that. All I'm gonna say this whole video is I want to read that. I want to reread that. Next we have The Spanish Love Deception. I'm straight away putting this in somebody do a welfare check because I'm like what about that book was 5 stars? You know, when we all got into reading, whenever that was, and because we obviously didn't really have anything to compare it to, we thought that the first great book that we read was 5 stars because we said there's nothing else to compare it to. This is the standard, right? You go, this is the book that's 5 stars because I haven't read anything to tell me otherwise. I think looking at books like The Hating Game and The Spanish Love Deception, those are books that were like setting my standards, and then I found books that literally exceeded, right? So I think Spanish Love Deception was way too long. I think the romance was there. I think Adam, no, his name's not Adam, Aaron Blackford, that's his name. Aaron Blackford is a great male main character. He has like some beautiful romantic gestures and things like that, but I don't think that book was worth 5 stars. Oh my God. Oh my God, did you guys just see my neck? My whole spine just went. Twisted Games by Anna Huang, and that is going straight into it's going straight into Take It Into the Afterlife. Love this book. I never have to say it enough. I think you guys know that was going to go in Taking It Into the Afterlife. Like I love that book so much. I want to do a reread this year. I promise you guys, I'm not going to say that about every book, but I very well may. Nothing's touched this. It gives you like Bridgerton vibes, but modern. The stakes are so much higher. It's like spicy. You will cry. The forbidden element of it is so good. If you guys have read Twisted Love and you didn't like it, Please read Twisted Games. It's just like, it's written by a completely different author, I swear. I swear. Okay, next up we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And I think, yeah, she still holds up. Love this book. It's the only book that I've ever given 5 stars by Ali Hazelwood. I think Bride is very close. I think I gave Bride 4.75 stars. I talk about Bride so much more, but I don't think that it's 5 stars. However, I thoroughly enjoyed The Love Hypothesis from beginning to end. And again, it was another one that I read as I was getting back into reading. But that's my girl. And anytime I think about Adam Carlson, I'm like, literally scrape me off the floor. Like, I love him, you know? All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown is, yeah, she holds up as well. It's definitely like in between I Don't Know Who This Man Is and She Holds Up, because I know that sounds very large. I don't really remember what happened. I just remember the ending, and 5 stars is a feeling. One of these categories should have been 5 stars as a feeling, because I really liked it. It's about 2 boys who like find each other in a post-apocalyptic world where there's like zombies and stuff. It's really funny, really good young adult. I still think it's 5 stars. I have not read the second one yet because I read another book by this author and I absolutely hated it. I DNF'd it halfway through. It made me so angry. Anyways, next. Then we've got 2 more from the same series, The Fine Print. Now the Fine Print is, yeah, she holds up. Love that book. Literally was, I think it was my first 5-star read of 2023, I want to say. And yeah, was literally so fun from beginning to end. It's a grumpy sunshine, boss and employee, billionaire sort of vibe. Just so sweet. And like, I remember like the acts of service, romantic gestures that like the male main character did for the female main character was so sweet. I loved it. Terms and Conditions is Inject It Into My Veins. I love that book so much. I like need to read it now. I can remember so many things about it. I keep saying read it like I haven't already read it. I need to reread it because I absolutely adored. Obsessed. Anyways. Next I have Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. Is also going in welfare check because it could have gone into I cried, because I did cry and give the book 5 stars. However, I'm thinking like of the book as a whole, was it 5 stars? This could go into many categories. It could go into I Don't Know Who This Man Is, it could go into Someone Do a Welfare Check, or it could go into I Cried, because I did a lot of different things. I just like genuinely cannot tell you a single thing that actually happened in this book other than the thing that would spoil it. You know, like if you ask me like what happened in Say You Swear, I could tell you what happened that made me cry. That's it. And it's a big book. Like I think it's about 500 pages or something, and that's not big, but for a romance book, like to be, I think for a romance book to be over 350 pages, there's got to be something interesting in it to justify the size. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like this one was just not. But at the time, again, because I cried, I gave 5 stars. Scarred by Emily McIntyre is, yeah, she holds up. Loved that book. It was an enemies to lovers. It's like a Lion King inspired retelling, dark romance. Again, enemies to lovers. He's like a dark prince, second in line to the throne, and she's trying to marry into the family, but like Loki wants to take the family down from the inside. It was just really, really, really interesting. That whole series, the Never After series, is really cool. And I like urge you to pick it up if you haven't already, because there's another book in here that I'll talk about. And I love that book so much. Then we have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Like I low-key wanted to put a category in here that said like fan service, but like I'm a fan and I was serviced or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, yes, this fan was serviced, you know? Because this was fan service. And I don't know why I gave 5 stars. So I'm gonna say I don't know who this man is. Because I don't know why I gave 5 stars. Like I said, it's split between I don't know who this man is and yes, this was fan serviced and this fan was serviced. Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I am taking this with me. Like it's coming in the coffin. Like I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm at the restaurant until I get this one with my check. I'm not going anywhere. That's my book. I wish I could lose my memory so that I could read that book again for the very first time. I wish I had no idea who Colin and Penelope were. I wish I could just read that book again and have no idea what I was reading. That is my book. That's like if you told me like you can pick 3 books to take with you, what are you picking? That's number 1. Next would probably be Red, White and Royal Blue. And then I'm scared about the 3rd one, to be honest. So if you ask me to take 2 books, it would be those 2. Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. I'm gonna say yeah, she holds up, but I'm also like, I don't remember anything that happened in the book. But I remember that I loved it. Like I remember that I was literally like doing laps around my room. Actually, I'm a liar. I do remember that like a lot happening in this book and I did really like it. And it was like the easiest read. I really enjoy Hannah's writing. Like I've read 2 of her books now. A new one actually comes out Tuesday. And I'll be reading that. Next we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and this is going into Inject It Into My Veins. I love This series, if you guys haven't heard of this like series before, it's called the Crowns of Nyaxia series. However, the way it's sort of broken up, and I personally haven't read a romantasy series like this yet, but it's going to be 6 books that are split up into 3 duets, if that makes sense. So it's going to be covering 3 different couples. So the first 2 books are called the Nightborn duet. So you've got The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So that follows one couple. And now I'm really sad because I love them so much. We've now started getting like the next 2 books in that duet, but I'm really sad because I love Rain and Araya. Like they are such a dynamic and interesting couple that I'm really sad that we only got 2 books with them for a fantasy series. I just don't think it's enough. Especially like The Serpent and the Wings of Night. That was an easy 5-star. It's probably the quickest romantasy that I've read. Like I read it in a day, which at the time was crazy. I can read romances pretty fast, but I literally do not read romantasies that fast. Flawless by Elsie Silver is also going into inject it into my veins. I absolutely love this book. Like Flawless was, I think I always say this when I talk about Flawless, you know when you read a series, everyone always sort of says that, oh, the first book's a bit of a throwaway, like it gets better after the first book. I feel like the Chestnut Spring series is the first series I can at least think of that I read the first book and it was a 5-star book. Like it was amazing from the get-go, which is really how book series should be. But Flawless like was a perfect book from beginning to end. I was so happy, I was giddy, I was kicking my feet, and I had a grandy old time. Next we have Mile High by Liz Tomford, and I do fear I have to put this in someone do a welfare check. Do I stand by the fact that this is still a 5-star book? Yes, because I love Stevie and Xanders. Like, don't ask me why. I'm sorry, I'm gonna put it at the top of someone do a welfare check because I really love that book still. The series as a whole, fantastic. Do I know why I gave this 5 stars? No. But as I've said, all of the books in the Windy City series are 5 stars. However, I think that Mile High is the lowest. I feel like Mile High is here and the other 3 books are on another level. Like they're elite. Then I have Heartless, which is also coming with me. Like I'm taking this into the afterlife. Be for real. I love this book so much. Like again, if I'm looking at that top row right now and I'm going like, I could not live if I didn't know those books were written. Like, do you know what I mean? That's how serious the top row is. Like, I feel like the top row make up like who I am. They're part of my DNA. They make up my personality. Like that's them. You know, Heartless is a book that I just think about all the time and cry. There's another Elsie Silver book in here after this. I literally go back and forth every day which one I love more, but I do think that like Heartless has so much more sentimental meaning to me. It's one of those books that when I hear certain songs that were mentioned in the book, I can see the scenes playing out in my head so vividly. Next I have Heat of the Everflame, and I'm going to put this in the top of I Cried because I actually sat down to do my book journaling last night and I gave this book 5 stars. This is a book that I read this month, so you guys will see me talking about it in my monthly reading wrap up. But I think that I was potentially a little bit too generous giving it a 5 star, but up until this point, the book that has made me like ugly cry the most is A Court of Silver Flames. I cried so much at the end of that book because of like just one scene in particular that happened. However, there was a scene in the middle of Heat of the Everflame that I was sitting in my bed, I was reading it on Kindle, and I couldn't breathe. Like I had to sit up because I was like hyperventilating crying. I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know. I was so lost. I felt like I was there. Like no words. Stevie stutters. I couldn't function, right? And like just so many points throughout the story because the romance is top tier and I love the characters, and it just happens in a romantasy. You just become so connected and obsessed with the characters in the world. I finished the book, and because it ends on the biggest cliffhanger, I was like 5 stars. But again, I think it's a book that I potentially rate it a bit generously. You'll hear more about it in my reading wrap up. Okay, next we have Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This is hard. Yeah, She Holds Up, but it's going in the top of Yeah, She Holds Up because I love. Why are you not switching? There we go. This is still part of that Never After series, as I was telling you guys, but it is my absolute favorite in that series. Like it's an Aladdin retelling, dark like romance mafia vibes. He's got a pet snake called Isabella. He's got a giant pet snake that does his stuff for him. Anyways, this like arranged forced marriage sort of vibes, and you guys know that I absolutely eat that up and devour it, so yes. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Oh, this one's so hard because I really want to put it in It Holds Up, but I think it might need to be in Welfare Check because I remember quite a few things happening. I'm gonna put it in welfare check. Yes, I'm gonna put it in welfare check because I still think it was such a fun, silly time, but I'm sure that if I read it now, it would not be 5 stars because I know that the next book in that series was 5 stars. And I'm just gonna find it now actually. Where is it? Wildfire. Wildfire is so good. I love Wildfire. I'm gonna put it in Inject It in My Veins because Wildfire, I've not read a book like it yet, and I still haven't read a book now. That's the same thing, Belle. I have never read a book, and it was so funny. I was talking to one of my besties, Beck, the other day, and she literally, we were talking about the books, and she goes, it gave me camp rock realness. And I was like, oh my God, literally. I always say it gives me summer camp realness, but it literally, that book gives you camp rock realness. Next up, we have The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, which I'm also going to put this in Inject This Into My Veins. It's going to Inject This Into My Veins because it is a book that I think about every single day. And like I always say, it's a book that if I go back to it in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm going to get something different out of it each time. It has just so many intriguing points, not just in terms of the romance, because I really feel like this is again, more general fiction with a romantic, what do they call it? Magical realism sort of plot, but it also has a really beautiful grief representation, plot line too. Everybody who reads it will get something different out of it, but they'll also just enjoy it so much. Next I have For the Fans by Nyla Kay, and I'm going to put this in I Don't Know Who This Man Is. Because I love this book. I think it's really, really fun. I think it's the spiciest book that I've ever read, probably. It was just insane, and the spice was warranted because of the story, and it was really great. I remember one plot with one of the brothers being really substantial, but I don't remember anything else. And that's why I'm I don't know who this man is. I don't know why I gave 5 stars. It's very much bordering on that someone do a welfare check. Next we have Queen Charlotte, which is also going into I Cried. I absolutely love that book so much. It holds up. It's also a story that just shows the true tests of love, and if you truly love someone, the lengths that you will go and someone will go to for you as well. It's a beautiful story. If you have not seen the show yet or you haven't read the book, I highly suggest, if you are thinking of starting Bridgerton, to read Queen Charlotte first, because it's really a much more engaging story to actually kick off the series, because as I was sort of saying in the beginning, I feel like The Duke and I and The Viscount Who Loved Me, the books, are not that interesting and could potentially not be as exciting to get you into the series. Then I have Caught Up by Liz Tomford, which is also going into I Cried, because this story is gorgeous. And it's funny, when I was at the Onyx Storm release party the other night, I was talking to one of my besties about it, and we were both saying that the one part that kicked this book over the edge for us is this one scene, because it is a single dad and the nanny trope, and we're always the biggest suckers for when obviously the kid that they are nannying or babysitting forms an attachment with the female main character. And I think what got us with this book is the child that, is being taken care of is literally an infant. He's a baby boy and he's just learning to talk, and it's oh, it's so good. Oh my God, I love it. Anyways. Here we have Iron Flame, which literally is making me laugh so hard because I am putting this into Somebody Do a Welfare Check, because I was gonna put this in I Cried, because I cried so much at the end and in the middle, sort of, when there one particular scene that sort of happened in the middle, but the ending of the book, Rebecca Yarros is just so good at throwing a curveball plot twist that you do not see coming, because she throws all this chaos in the last 100 pages of the book. You're trying to put together what's actually going on. Then when she slams you with the plot twist, you literally don't see it coming, because she tries to confuse you before she drops the plot twist. And that's why I feel Iron Flame happened, and I didn't see it coming, and I just bawled my eyes out. Guys, the way that I want to do a full sit down and reread now of Fourth Wing on Iron Flame and Onyx Storm is insane. Like I said, I love the series so much, and I think just being so fresh in the world right now, love it so much. I'm prepared to drop everything. I'm prepared to drop everything to do a reread. That's how serious it is. Okay, next up we have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, and I'm putting this into Yes, She Holds Up. because I love this book. I read it in a day. It's a chunker, but I literally, every time I talk about it, I say that I started this for a reading vlog. I woke up, read for like 3 hours and didn't realize I hadn't had breakfast yet. I took it to the beach, I took it to dinner, took it everywhere because all I wanted to do was keep reading. That's probably the only book that I've ever taken, oh, except for Glow of the Everflame, that I literally, like, if I went anywhere, I had to take the book with me. If I even got like 30 seconds to read, I had to have it with me, because if I didn't, like, what was I gonna do? What was I gonna do? Next up, we have Play Along by Liz Tomford. And I'm going to put this in, inject this into my veins. Because Obsessed by Mariah Carey, that is my song. Like, when I hear that song, Isaiah Rhodes is in my head. Head empty as Isaiah Rhodes is in there playing baseball and twerking to, play along. To Obsessed by Mariah Carey, okay? Next we have Hunting Adeline, and I think actually that this might be my top 3 books of all time. It's going into Take It With Me into the Afterlife, because guys, this is another one. I feel like 1 year I just want to dedicate to, like, I don't want to read a new book until I finish rereading my favorite books ever. Do you know what I mean? I always sort of say this when I talk about Haunting and Hunting Adeline. Haunting Adeline, I gave 4 stars. I was not sold on the, like, relationship at that point either. I loved the mystery plot with the grandmother, but I was not sold on, like, them as a couple or anything like that. Hunting Adeline solidified that for me. It just, like, it took them into the stratosphere. Like, it took them to another dimension, another planet. I literally urge everybody who read Haunting Adeline and wasn't the biggest fan of it to finish the duet, because there's a reason it's 2 parts. There's a reason, and I literally think about this book every day. Zade Meadows, oh my gosh. Okay, next up we have Holding the Reins by Paisley Hope. I am going to put this inject this into my veins. Are we even surprised? Love this book. I need Nash Carter. Need Nash Carter like I need air to breathe. If you're looking for something to fill the chestnut spring-shaped hole in your life after you finish that, please read that. It's so much spicier. The series is being published right now. Training the Heart is out. It's number 2. Number 3 comes out very soon. It's just really good. Then we also have Wild Eyes, which is also going into inject this into my veins. Like, ooh. No, actually I'm putting it in I Cried. But, like, close to the top again. Cried so much reading this book. I still love it. I think it was such a silly, giddy, good time. And sometimes, like, the way I feel about a book doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's her best book. I always say that I think that Wild Eyes is Elsie's best book that I've written, like, that I've read by her, but Heartless will always be my favorite. I think that's how I'm going to differentiate them. Heartless will always be my favorite because of how I felt reading the book. I felt really strong reading to Wild Eyes, however, I think it's still her best book, you know what I mean? Quicksilver is kind of interesting as well. Ooh, I'm gonna say yeah, she holds up. But, like, towards the top. Very close to being in the I Cried. I still, yeah, she's a 5-star book. I loved that book. I just thought it was super strong. It was really spicy. I had a good time. Like, I really enjoyed that book, and I cried. I'm pretty sure there's a TikTok of me just crying at the end of it. I can't wait for book 2. I feel like it's gonna be so interesting. Carrion Swift, I will do anything for that man. Like, what is with these side characters that are just like, I am feral for them. I'm absolutely feral for them. Next up we have Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth, is another one that is injecting into my veins. I just loved it. It was fun, silly, giddy, nothing too heavy, as I always said, but it's just fun. And I had a grand old time. Oh, second last, we've got Chain of Gold, I think this is, by Cassandra Clare. And I'm gonna put this in, I don't know who this man is. Because I don't know why I gave this book 5 stars. I actually could not tell you a single thing other than I know the main characters are Cordelia and James. And James is the best Herondale, from my memory. I think I've read Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron. I did not finish Chain of whatever the last one is. It's funny that the books that I read, like the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices, I remember so much more vividly, even though I literally read that maybe 2 years ago. Anyways, finally we have A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, which is going to go into I Cried, but it's a book that I do think has a very beautiful message, and it's really sad. I always say it's the saddest book that I have ever read. Be prepared before you even pick that book up. It is very sad and low-key traumatizing. Like, I'm not even joking. Alrighty guys, that is all for today's tier ranking video. Thank you guys so much for sticking through all the way to the end if you did. I really appreciate it. Have you guys read any of my little 5 stars that I've given today? I know there was a lot. That was at least 60 something books. Do you agree with what I've given them / like where I put them? Let me know. As always, you guys, if you're on already, you are more than welcome to follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. I'll leave my handles on the screen and in the description box. And if you'd like to, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel. And make sure you are hitting the notification bell, the way you're notified each time a brand new new video goes up. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again. I really, really appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a lovely day or a lovely night, and I will see you all next time. Bye.